Indie animation is a very, very large world, with tons of great TV shows, indie animated pilots, or just short stories that all surpass some sort of corporate media that you are probably used to watching. Now, whether you are just completely new in this entire space, or if you're just looking for more show recommendations, then this video is definitely for you, as I will go through the top 10 best indie animated shows for you to watch before you get more in depth into the indie animated world. Coming in at number 1, the first on our list is my personal favorite, Murder Drones. Murder Drones is a horror comedy being about robots in space after humanity has seemingly all died, hiding away from other robots that want to kill them. It's a lot more complicated than that, but the beginning of the pilot, or episode 1, has an exposition which explains it pretty well. There are likable and lovable characters in this series, the comedy bits are sometimes really good, the horror aspects are amazing, and it's generally just a good show to watch, especially now that it has been completed as of recent. The director of this show, Liam Vickers, is a very good writer. He has a lot of previous work, especially if you go to his animation channel or even Storytime channel. All of his work are really good, and I recommend you watching or just listening to them, as it is a key part of his entire fandom. This can be found by just typing in Murder Drones into the YouTube search bar, or going to the Glitch Productions channel and just typing or finding Murder Drones among their other shows, which I will get into later in the video. My next recommendation is the indie animated pilot series called Lackadaisy. Starting off as an indie comic series online to now being a fully fledged pilot series, and eventually in the future being a fully fledged TV show on YouTube, presumably, this animated pilot is very interesting, especially its storyline being around the time of the prohibition of alcohol in the United States. The storytelling and characters are amazing, especially the character designs, which are all cats. Now, if that sounds weird to you, don't worry, it's actually very interesting if you actually watch the pilot. I cannot stress how amazing this animation looks, especially for independently funded animation, and is definitely something you should watch if you're getting interested in the indie animated world. Number 3 on our list, and probably the most popular, is The Amazing Digital Circus. Garnering hundreds of millions of views across the entire internet and all platforms, The Amazing Digital Circus follows a cast of people stuck in some sort of video game, or get this, digital circus, with another sort of AI that sets them on adventures to not drive them insane. Many of these adventures prove to be very horrifying, but there are also some very deep moments in developing character arcs in this story. Despite the series not being complete and there only being 3 out of the 9 episodes being released, again on the Glitch Productions channel, it is still definitely worth a watch, especially since it is probably the most popular indie animated show as of recent. If you like existential dread, deep moments, very character-driven shows, and overall pretty age-neutral comedy, then I would definitely give this one a shot. Now, if you were on the internet a while ago when stick figure animations were very popular, then these next 2 shows are definitely for you, as it takes this whole stick figure animation-like aspect and takes it to an entire new level. Coming in at numbers 4 and 5, we have Alan Becker's Animation vs. Minecraft and Animation vs. Animator series. In the Animation vs. Minecraft series, or AVM for short, we follow a cast of characters being orange, yellow, blue, green, and red. These characters discover the video game Minecraft and explore the ins and outs of the entire game over the course of many episodes. Although the show starts off as just the crew getting up to goofy antics with the video game, it does eventually get into a more emotional and plot-driven story. However, if you're not really into Minecraft or this series doesn't really interest you, you can always try Alan Becker's other popular series called Animation vs. Animator, or AVA for short. It is extremely difficult to impossible to fully explain this series without spoiling something, and the series is amazing, and you should definitely watch it without the ruining experience of just knowing what's gonna happen next, so I highly recommend you just give it a shot no matter what. The next indie series I have suggested for you is again by Glitch Productions, one of their older works called Meta Runners. This story follows a world that solely revolves around video games. If you aren't good at video games, you won't really make it far in life, basically. Playing video games in this world is basically a living, with the best people at these video games literally replacing one of their arms with a robotic one so they can just get some better CPS or something. The main character of this series is named Tari, who is strangely good at these video games despite not remembering anything of her past life. Despite the animation being a little bit choppy in the first season, it does get better, along with the story just generally being pretty good. You should definitely give it a watch, especially if you are planning on sticking with Glitch Productions as they create more indie shows. It's a really cool way to see how far Glitch Productions has come as an indie company, along with just seeing some of their previous work. An honorable mention I have, along with taking our number 7 spot is Has-Been Hotel. Now, despite Has-Been Hotel as a TV show not exactly being independent anymore, as it does reside on Amazon Prime Video, it used to be independently funded, as its pilot is still here on YouTube, and I do recommend you watch it, as it is a cool piece of history on how indie animation as a whole has been set up by this show. It really set a standard of what indie animation could achieve, and paved the way for some of my favorite indie animated shows, along with probably some of yours as well if you are already familiar with the community and shows within it. Especially if you're into adult humor and jokes, I would definitely give at least the pilot a watch of Has-Been Hotel, along with its sister show being set in the same universe, but not necessarily being connected, called Hell of a Boss. Hell of a Boss, taking our number 8 spot, follows a crew of demons from hell going up to the surface of Earth, being hired by sinners or people in hell to kill their enemies who are still alive on Earth. Now, although the show doesn't really stick to this premise, it's basically what you need to know to go into the show. It is much more complicated than that, especially when you get later and later into the show, and I would definitely give it a watch. Unless you don't really like adult humor or adult jokes, then I definitely wouldn't give this a watch, since there is a lot of that in this show, to the point where it makes me question why this even is allowed to be on YouTube. Taking our number 9 spot is the indie animated pilot made by, once again, Liam Vickers, who created Murder Drones, the Wii show I mentioned first at the beginning of this video, the indie animated pilot Cliffside. Following, again, the horror comedy-like route for storytelling, it follows the main character in some sort of Wild West-like setting, fighting off monsters in some sort of infested town, which is full of a bunch of Wendigos and a bunch of other creatures that you get to see later in the entire pilot. I would definitely give this a watch, especially if you're trying to find more of Liam Vickers' old work. The last, but certainly not least, indie animated pilot slash show I have to recommend you, coming in at number 10, is Ramshackle. Its art style is amazing, I really loved it, along with its premise being generally pretty basic, but also pretty easy to follow, unlike some of the shows I've already mentioned. If you want just a casual TV show to watch with some cool fight scenes and maybe some cool character developments and cool character designs, I would definitely give this one a watch. There are a few honorable mentions, like every single indie animated pilot or TV show I missed, along with SSTWL, or Scary Storytime with Liam. This is, again, Liam Vickers' very old work, but is still amazing. Its format takes place in some sort of kind of audiobook-like state, so you could just pop this on while you're like washing dishes or like driving or something. Other than that, however, that's pretty much it for this video. Now, if I missed any of your favorite pilots or TV shows, again, I'm sorry I couldn't really fit everything into this video, nor did I have time to watch all of them. I make plenty of videos talking about these series, or at least most of them, so definitely subscribe and check out my channel if you really want to see most of them. However, there are a lot of spoilers, so I really would watch out for that. Leave a comment down below of what your favorite indie animated pilot is, like the video if you actually liked it, subscribe to help me reach 10,000 subscribers even faster, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.